Here we are at the conference of Science and Non-Duality in Holland 2012.
Yes.
And why this conference interests me is that it is about a way to understand reality in a deeper way, so that we have a better chance to reach sustainability. And here I am with Lothar Schafer,
Right.
who I find a very interesting person and has ways of explaining how reality is composed in mind and eye-opening ways to me. Please, a few words about your background, Lothar.
My background, I was born in Germany, actually close here, Düsseldorf. Holland is like this visit going back to my childhood, because we often on a weekend traveled to Holland. I studied chemistry at the University in Munich and got my PhD there. And then I went to the United States, and I've taught physical chemistry at the University in Arkansas for 43 years, and then I retired last year. So all of my life I have worked as an active scientist. I've lots and lots and lots of scholarly papers. At one time I realized that there's this new science, quantum physics and quantum chemistry. It is painting a picture of the world that is so different from what common sense understands as reality, that, for example, our students who have no problem in handling advanced mathematics, they could do this perfectly, apply the technique, but they had no feeling for what it means.
Okay.
So I became interested in teaching them what it means, and it resulted in a special course that was offered, developed over several decades. It was offered in our honors program. Honors students are the best students on campus, and they have the possibility to choose on some optional classes. And so I had this course on quantum reality and the spiritual quest. And it was
which this conference is about, because it's the meeting point of the scientific and the inner subjective understanding of reality.
Our students are very critical. They are allowed to make anonymous comments on their teachers every end of semester, and turn it in, not to the teacher, but to the department. And the teacher cannot see it before he doesn't have turned in his grades.
Good.
And I have seen these comments. They get rid of their frustrations. They say, this guy is an idiot, the verse. I mean, they say anything. Now, in this class, there was a consensus that people wrote like, it opened my eyes. I don't know what's happening to me. I'm thinking different about the world. It hits you. But young people are flexible, they can do it. So why is the world of quantum physics so different from that of the traditional kind of science, which is classical physics, Newton's physics, Darwin's biology?
Cause and effect.
Yes, it's a world of cause and effect. It's a material world. Newton explained everything in terms of moving material particles. And he said these particles, they're eternal. They never wear or break in pieces. In contrast, in the 20th century, Werner Heisenberg, one of the founders of quantum theory, he said, particles, atoms, they are not material things. Not in the traditional sense. So why did he say that? First of all, what it means is, it's a sign that there is a part of the world that we cannot see, but it is real. It is real because it can affect us. It doesn't consist of things, but of forms. In classical physics, the only thing that's real is the visible, the empirical. There's nothing else.
And so there is no free will.
There's no free will
No.
because the future state of a system is completely determined by the current state.
Yeah. Everything is predictable.
Everything, there's nothing new.
No.
It already shows you that there is something wrong about classical physics because you know you have a free will.
I try to act like it sometimes.
Okay, yes. No, but let me put this way, you know.
Yeah.
I'm lifting this arm.
Mm-hmm.
I am lifting, don't tell me. Don't tell me.
Of course.
It's an illusion, I'm not doing it.
No.
You
Yeah.
know, I am doing this.
Yeah.
I know it. There's a French philosopher, Biron, he says, the British skeptics, they said, there's no causality, no experience of causality. Hume, he said, like, when you see two balls collide, and they bounce off, you say one ball caused the other to move.
Yeah.
Wrong. You don't see that. He said, what you see is two balls are rolling together. At one time, they change their direction.
Uh-huh.
You see a sequence of things. You don't see a necessary connection. You make that up in your mind.
Uh-huh.
Biron said, no, I'm not making it up when I am the force. If I cause something, it's my inner existence, the sense of inner existence. I know I am it.
Yeah.
So, you know, there is causality. Now,
And there is a spirit in the machine.
there's no spirit really in Newton's. Well, I mean,
No, in this machine.
yes, we got there because
if
we
I have
said,
it with free will.
because we said, I have a free will.
Yeah.
It's not an illusion. So, since Newton's physics forbids this, it's already telling you there's something,
Yeah.
if not wrong,
Missing.
but something is missing.
Incomplete.
Yeah. So now you see, in the quantum world, first of all, there were observable facts like the properties of atoms and molecules and so on. They had to be explained. To explain them, Schrödinger developed his quantum theory, which is a wave mechanics. It's an immensely powerful theory. You can use it to calculate precisely the properties of molecules and atoms. But it's also the basis of the understanding of materials that led to electronics, to cell phones, to, you know, the gadgets work on Schrödinger's principles if you want to. So it's a very reliable theory. In that theory, the electrons in atoms, they are not particles. Normally, everybody has heard of electrons say, oh yeah, it's an elementary particle. No, it's not an elementary particle. They are waves. If electrons really were tiny balls, and there is a positively charged nucleus in an atom, they would instantly have to drop in there.
Yeah.
But you, within a nanosecond, you would actually, the whole globe would shrink to the area of about a football field in its parking lot, because all that is empty. Because the mass is in the nucleus, it's surrounded by these waves. They are not material waves.
And what we're aiming now is towards a new kind of logic that is still within the setup of existence, but which can promote more cooperation.
Yes.
And less competition than today.
Yes.
So
We are
what we're
leading to
aiming now is at a kind of another kind of identity or storytelling, another narrative, right?
Yes, I've not put it that way, but I'll let you get away with it.
Okay.
No, we'll see. We
Yeah.
agree.
Okay.
So these waves,
Yeah.
they don't have units of matter or energy. They're just numbers. They are probability waves.
Okay.
They give you the probability to find an electron. When you don't see it, you can't see there's an electron.
No.
You only have probabilities where to find it. Even though there is no matter or energy in these waves, they determine the visible order. Like the way they interfere between atoms decides what kind of molecules they make. The way molecules interfere with their waves, like in your body, decide how they keep you alive. Okay, so here's a general thing. Elementary particles in atoms, they are waves. When you take an elementary particle, a single one, like in a vacuum, an electron, on atom or molecule, this is what they do. They will spontaneously flow apart in a wave-like state, like the electrons in atoms. Okay, you just saw a particle. Now is a wave-like. Where is it? It's nowhere. The wave has the nature of a potentiality. The strict definition is, in a potentiality state, a physical property like position in space has no actual value, but many possible values. So the particle is actually nowhere. Potentially it is in many places.
Until we start observing.
Yes, which means what is important about it is that it is not part of the empirical world.
No.
Because in the empirical world, I'm a thing. I'm an empirical thing. It means every empirical thing must be somewhere.
Yeah.
The problem, even if you don't know, like, later on we will leave, tomorrow you may think of me and say, where's Lothar? You don't know, but you know there is one place in the universe where the probability to find me is 100%. Zero everywhere else. Even when you don't know where it is, you know that this is the case. You, as a real thing, cannot be 10% here and 10% there and 10% in Paris. That doesn't work. So, there is a state that is not part of the empirical world. But it is real, because now if you set up detectors to look for the electron, it pops out somewhere. Unpredictably where. Okay?
So something holds us together.
Okay.
And make us
Yes.
appear as objects.
Good question. Good question. These sort of things, the wave-like states, they occur when a system like a molecule, molecules, atoms, particles, they don't interact with something. So they happen in a vacuum, where interactions are rare. Why does this thing not flow apart, or why does your body not flow apart? Because the many particles in it interact with each other and kind of keep each other honest. Say, oh, I want to flow apart now. No, they interact. They constantly call it themselves back out of this realm of potentiality.
Interaction or some morphic field that keeps us...
No field.
Okay.
No.
But interaction, you say?
Interaction keeps things empirical material. It's when the material particle becomes a wave, the matter is gone. And nobody has any idea. But when you interact with it, the particle pops out again. Nobody has any idea where the mass is coming from.
Do you mean all particles go away when you...
Leave them alone.
All particles?
All!
Oh.
Spontaneously.
Shit.
But they have to be alone.
Keep on looking. Yeah.
They have to, you know, not interacting many.
Are we talking about consciousness as
Wait, okay, now
keeping it
wait.
together,
Yeah,
or what?
yeah, yeah. You're in a hurry. But
Okay.
you can't rush it
Okay.
because this is a revolution of our thinking.
Okay.
It happened in our history step by step.
Yeah.
Like, you know, I've sometimes said, first of all, the physicists weren't looking for consciousness or something like this. They were looking for what physicists have done since Newton. Nobody got a telephone call on a Monday morning and somebody said, "This is your cosmic consciousness calling, how are you doing?" It didn't work like this. But for example, these waves, they're probability waves. They tell you probability, find a particle. Probabilities, they're patterns of information. So all of a sudden someone said information. Normally information is meant for some mind. Could there be, no, it is stupid. But then, you know, potentiality waves, there are potentiality, they define the potential. Shouldn't do that?
No.
I shouldn't do that.
I cut that off. Please, yeah.
You know, and here something happens. Your thoughts have the nature of a potentiality.
Okay.
Why do I say it? Because potentiality means a realm of the world that is not actual, but it can actualize. Your thoughts for you are real. My thoughts for me are real. You don't know my thoughts because they're not empirical. But they have the potential to come out. Like I can put them in sound. Then it's an empirical thing.
Yeah. It's not the thought, but it's an expression from the thought.
Right. And you know, it's interesting, all these new ideas in physics, they have been expressed by sages ages ago.
That's a great comfort, that it's not something we try to invent and we're not sure enough if it's
Saint
accurate,
Augustine.
but it connects back, you know,
Right.
in all the traditions.
Augustine, you know, the saint, not his fault. He talked to some people, and it occurred to him, he said, "Isn't that strange? I talk to you, and you are from Rome, so I have to speak to you in Latin. If you were from Greece, I would have to talk to you in Greek. But the thought I prepared to talk to you isn't in me in Greek or Latin. It's something completely different." He already touched.
Another code.
Yeah, potentiality.
Okay.
It's a potentiality. And of course, you know, he wouldn't have become the saint, so he said something like, "And you are the word that is in the mind of God and has become flesh." So that has to be.
In the beginning was the word.
In the beginning, yes, underlying the visible reality is logic. The word means actually logos. In Greek, the word was logos. In the beginning, what was the complete sentence? Yeah, I knew it once in Greek. I have a senior moment, forgot it. But anyway, in the beginning was the word. The Greek word for it is logos. So, okay, so people say, all right, there's a realm of potentiality in the world. Potentiality is something thought-like. Is there a cosmic mind? And some said, you're crazy. It can't be. But you see, there were, in a way, more and more suggestions like this. And then it's like always, you know, if you think of a person, if he disappoints you once, you say, okay, fine. Another time, finally you think that guy's a louse. I don't want to see him anymore. Another argument. Yes. Oh, I shouldn't do that. The particles become waves. Waves, they flow apart. Like, think of water
Brings
waves.
in the water, yeah.
You know, Atlantic Ocean isn't a collection of little balls. No, they are contiguous.
I know that we will reach a point where we talk about cooperation as...
Here's the point.
Yeah.
In other words, the waves form a realm of wholeness.
Okay.
The non-empirical waves form a realm of reality that is a wholeness,
Okay.
because they're hanging together.
Okay.
So,
Sort of a ground of being, or the ocean of potentiality.
ocean of potentiality,
Okay.
a transcendent realm of being.
Okay.
No,
Something that goes beyond our...
yes,
type of
it's
being,
non-empirical. That's
presence.
why I call it transcendent.
Yeah.
So we get the feeling, or not feeling, the conclusion that all things are connected.
Yeah.
Okay, you say, look, how can that table be connected with my body, or with the table that I have at home? It's like this.
And how can we be so interconnected, or how
Right.
interconnected are we?
Yes, I have a wonderful example. We are connected in our transcendent basis,
Yeah.
in the ocean of waves.
Yeah.
Here's a great idea. Have you flown across the Atlantic?
Yes.
Sometimes, when you have a window seat and when the weather is nice, you can look down, you see the ocean, and often it's agitated, and you see white spots. They move around a little bit, then they vanish, and somewhere else a white spot comes, and
We call them the geese on the water.
the geese.
Yeah.
Yeah, oh, that's
like
great.
The white
That's great.
foam.
You might even see when you fly to Sweden,
Yeah.
So you're of course not dumb. You say, well, these are white crests on top of waves. There is an ocean there. You may not see it because it's all just one color.
Yeah.
But there are white crests where the waves build up and they come and go. And you see, all empirical things are actualizations out of this realm of forms. They are like the crests on top of the ocean waves.
It's kind of far out, isn't it?
No,
Isn't it?
it's far out.
I mean, it's
No, in that sense.
to accept this, you sort of must let go of so much
Yes.
of our everyday thinking.
Yes, and we must come to that point. But let me finish
Yeah.
that one. You are right. It is completely, in other words,
It's crazy.
these things are like crests, but they're all hanging together in the same ocean.
Yeah.
So there's wholeness.
Yeah.
And here's an idea. If reality is a wholeness like this, everything comes out of it. It's a cosmic wholeness.
Yeah.
Everything comes out. Everything belongs to it. Everything means all phenomena. Life, consciousness. If consciousness comes out of it, it belongs to it.
Yeah.
So consciousness is a cosmic property. Here you have it. It appears again and again in stronger manner.
And by consciousness, excuse me, we mean here
Your
the,
consciousness.
the consciousness in which thoughts and emotions occur. Sometimes
Right.
we think of a consciousness as the thoughts and the emotions, but
Right.
they are actually qualia in
Yes.
consciousness.
Very good. I could put it this way, in a short form you could say the universe has a body, the visible things, and a mind, the realm of potentiality forms. And by mind I mean like our mind. You have a body and a mind because the universe has one. You couldn't have one if the universe didn't have that realm. Then you would really be... Darwin was logically consistent with Newton. Yeah, a piece of debris dies together. There's nothing in you. It's just a material system.
Yeah.
No values, no responsibility.
Just survival of the fittest, as he is
Yes.
usually interpreted. But lately there are more interpretations about his talk about collaboration. But it's not mentioned.
It's not
so
mentioned
often.
because you see, it fits better into
Yeah.
our time of
Yeah,
of
competing.
of competing, of what should I say, you know, control wars.
Yeah.
If you can go, you know, it's a late justification of colonialism. If you can go out in the world and get a few countries, go ahead.
Yeah, I'm the fittest.
Yeah.
Here I go.
I'm supposed to do that.
Yeah.
And at the same time,
everybody. Yeah.
You know, we're approaching your topic. If you can suck out the earth.
Yeah. Yeah.
And use all the resources before someone else get it.
Yeah.
Well, go ahead.
Yeah.
Make my day. If you find a way, you want to have more and more money. If you have $1 billion, I don't understand why you want to have 2 billion, but there's a great need in these people to have more. If you can do it and ruin the rest of the world, go ahead.
So what is the jump?
What
is the shift in logic?
Yes, the shift in logic is that there is a part of the world we don't see. Now you might say, well, ancient teachers said that all
I don't see it, so I don't have to care about it.
Yeah, but you see,
Sorry.
Yeah, but you see, in science that is a shock, because the basis of science is, as it evolved in the Renaissance, to say I can understand the world by watching it,
rational logic,
and measuring it, and
objective,
and apply objective reason. And so, this is why Einstein, you know, he didn't like quantum physics. He said there's something wrong. Something is missing.
Yeah.
And what I have proposed is to say, no, there is nothing missing in the theory. There is something missing in the visible world. When we watch the visible world, it doesn't tell us what the non-empirical world is.
No.
So, that's new, to accept as a logical, in a logical way, in a scientific way, that there is a non-empirical world. That is completely new. Spiritually, yeah, all the time, but those guys, you know, forget about that. The idea was, they didn't know better.
No.
The second thing that is new is the interconnectedness. Because on the visible surface, everything is separate. It's connected in the transcendent roots. And the third aspect is that the roots are mind-like. I've said that
the roots are mind-like.
Yes.
What do you mean by that?
There's a cosmic mind. You have a consciousness because consciousness exists in the cosmic field. Or you couldn't have it. It's like we have a purpose. All the empirical things are actualizations of these potentiality forms.
So everything that is material
comes out of a realm of potentiality. And
and with support or with the activity of consciousness intention.
Well, okay, now we mustn't get carried away. We have to be careful. You can say, you know, does the universe have a purpose? Jacques Monod, the French biochemist who got the Nobel Prize, he said a scientific description of the world excludes any reference to purpose, because the world follows laws, not purpose.
We're back to Newton.
Yes, but he said there's a paradox. When you look at living organisms, they are endowments of purpose, because you have a purpose. You see, what I think he misunderstood is this. Having a purpose doesn't mean that you want to bend the law, because you say, well, you know, I have a brother and I kind of can bend the law if I'm a judge, and then he has a... No, it's not like this. Your body follows the laws of chemistry and physics. They are objective. They are not expressions of purpose. But your mind can adopt a purpose at the same time.
No.
So, the universe in its empirical world follows the objective laws of physics, causality, but in its non-empirical realm, it can pursue a purpose. What is so exciting about it is that in the non-empirical realm, it can be creative. In Newtonian world, you can't be creative. What we talked about. So the non-empirical realm, it can be creative. It's like it looks for new ways to actualize. In our minds, it has found a way to actualize like in nothing else. If you think about it, we can do paintings or create science.
And we can compete. And in this challenge of sustainability or not having sustainability, we are looking upon ourselves as a competing species.
Yes.
And our politicians are basically saying that we will not agree in Copenhagen, we will not agree in Rio, because this is a race.
Right. But you're right. But you see.
So how does the shift come about?
The shift comes about. Okay. Maybe we can put it this way.
My way of putting words on it is that my life won't be completely rock and roll before I am happy, and for that to happen, it needs for you to be happy as well, because I couldn't be happy otherwise, totally.
Yes.
So how, and I guess this resonates with your connectivity.
Right.
We're all one.
You know, the system of the classical worldview was very consistent. Like, in addition to Newton and Darwin, there's also the philosophy David Hume, who said what is and is not the case has nothing to do with what you ought to do or ought not to do. Is and ought do not get together. So, you know, in such a world you can say...
And that creates a tension in me, because I would like it to be in a different way than it is.
Yes, and in that world you can say, I do as I like, and I do my advantage.
Yeah.
Does it?
Because
No.
I'm more fit, so
I'm more fit, so I get all the oil, and I burn up all the oxygen, because you can't stop me.
Oh.
So, you see, in a quantum world, where there is wholeness, the story changes, because in that case the order of the world has some message for you how you should act. Like, if we are all connected, it's stupid if I cheat you or if I hurt you, because ultimately I hurt myself.
In the long run, I hurt myself.
That's karma. The way I treat other people, I treat myself.
Yeah.
And you know, I have met countless people in my life that are very rich. Millions. One even billions. And they weren't criminal, but they got it by, when most of the time when somebody has so much money, they did it by suppressing other people. They didn't get happiness. They lived miserable lives as they got old. Really.
Yeah.
They paid for every penny. And so it's the same with sustainability. We should not think, I grab something and then that's great, so nobody else has it. We can only survive if we share and if we preserve.
I get to think of a salsa song where Ruben Blades sings La cuentas del alma nunca se acaba de pagar. The bills that bills that the soul sends you, you will never stop paying them. That's
That's very good.
Karma.
Yeah. So you see how yes, it's not a coincidence. Physics discovers the wholeness of the world.
Yeah.
When the world globalizes,
Yeah.
when we discover that we better cooperate, and support each other and sustain our resources for all of us.
Yep.
It's a new way of thinking, and you know, things I've said about reality, they are so different that you can think that our consciousness is changing. Not in the simple sense of I'm changing my mind. No, it's changing in the sense of obtaining a new structure. That we are becoming a new species. That has happened before. There is a little known German philosopher.
And maybe it's not new, but deeper.
It's change.
It's a deeper level of being.
Yes.
Understanding.
Yes.
Perceiving.
Yes. In the last century, Jean Gebser was a German philosopher. He's not so famous, but he described how in our history our consciousness developed different structures. From a magic to a mythical to a mental. Modern science is mental.
Mental and postmodern.
And now he said we are changing again.
And from the postmodern
to the
integral, according to Ken Wilber.
Oh, you know. Yeah, he called it integral. He didn't call it integral. That's the wrong translation. Called integrative. Really better.
Okay, he talks about integral, but it's all what you mentioned is the first tier, and now comes a big shift in paradigm when you go from first tier to second tier.
Right.
And on this second tier level is the first time that you realize how the different steps we had before were solving a problem, and then by time creating a new problem that need to another step upwards in perspective taking. So this is about taking bigger perspectives on reality, including more.
The typical thing about integral or integrative thinking is it can reconcile seemingly contradictory concepts.
Yeah.
The previous structures in consciousness, typically they thought what was first was kind of primitive. Particularly, you know, the age of science, they thought everything that wasn't science is kind of stupid. Now we can have a spiritual view of the world and a logical understanding, and it's not in conflict. In 1900, you could not have had a religious faith, believe in science, and be logically consistent. That would have been impossible. It was one or the other. Today, and so also today, we can be individuals and we can be together.
Part of a collective.
Right.
And they say about the present generation, you know, we have moved through the generation X and Y and Z, and what the present young people are able to is being both individualist and collectivist at the same time. So with these times, maybe there's an increased capacity to accept paradox.
Right. Well, it isn't paradox anymore. It's just dissolved in a new kind of logic. That's why I think we will become... Look, evolution hasn't stopped with human beings. You can ask yourself, where will it go? Will we have 3 legs? No. I mean, not likely. Will we have another eye in the back? No. Will we have wings? It would actually be a survival advantage, because if the red light and traffic, you just fly across. I don't think we are going to develop. What is going to change is our consciousness. The problem is to realize...
Our identity comes with it.
You can say our identity. The problem is to realize that different levels of consciousness represent different species. A magic human being was a different
animal
than a mental.
Yeah.
And the problem is that, you know, there is this thing in biology that an embryo goes through all the evolutionary stages of the species. Yeah, what is this? There was a term.
You're not thinking of the caterpillar turning over to...
No, but you know, an embryo at one time looks like a fish, and then, you know, it goes through all these things.
Yeah.
What was it? Yeah, ontogenesis, the development of an individual, is a recapitulation of phylogenesis, is a repetition of the development of the species.
Yeah.
And that also happens for our mind. The
They
difference...
transcend and include.
Yes.
So we include what we had and we take another step.
That's right.
We don't lose.
No,
We
we have to
transcend.
go through it.
Yeah.
But the thing, you know, your body evolves, you can't do anything about it. But how your mind evolves, some people stop at the magic level.
Yeah.
Some stop at the classical science level.
Yeah.
Some go to the new integrative level.
Yeah.
And so there are, in a way, you know, saying crudely, these different animals living together. And some of them think, if you don't think like me, I'm going to let you have it.
Yeah.
So the incredible importance of education to get people to that level of togetherness of the new species, the new animal.
And also explaining that there are these levels, because a person that is on a lower level cannot see the new level, the higher levels,
Right.
before they have seen it.
Right.
It's
They
like
think
a
they are the
paradox.
best already.
Yeah.
Yes.
So,
And if
so
they hear
that-
something else, they
which-
think they're stupid.
yeah. So,
And-
so we need that story that it's about
Right.
right and wrong and development also. So there's different aspects
Right.
of how we develop.
And you know, I've been teacher all my life. We do nothing to tell students that.
No. Right. Right.
Well, you know, I started in a special class, but I mean, one person so, for the whole humanity is nothing. So we have to get this message out. At that level, you will preserve resources. You will be interested in sustainability. You will be interested in sustaining for the generations that come, because you're all one.
Yeah, the separation between us and between the existence.
Right.
The separation gets bridged.
Right.
And then there's a new kind of logic and a new kind of motivation coming through.
You have to join the new species.
And conferences like this one, science and non-duality.
Yes.
And there are a couple of different similar conferences have so much to contribute in order to unite the subjective and the
Yeah.
objective, which actually...
So it's wonderful you doing things like this.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you so much,
All right.
Dr. Schafer.